Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavad Pranam.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavad Pranam.
And Sutama Mataji, Ishwari Radha Mataji, Suyash Prabhu, Priyanka Mataji, Preeti Radhika Mataji, Aarti Mataji is here with us today. Karima Mataji, thank you so much for joining the call. And I was sorry for being late here. I was grappling with Facebook. It would not allow me to broadcast on Facebook today. So we are broadcasting on YouTube channel, and I posted a link to YouTube on Facebook. So just those of you who are watching us on Facebook/YouTube, please post your comments on Facebook. I'll be watching the Facebook channel there. Okay, so we should get started then. And my recording, I am. And we will look at the Vigyapati Panchika prayers as soon as they come up here on my screen. Okay, so where are we here? Preview. Need to open the file. Vigyapati Panchaka. Om Jnana Jnana Shalakaya Yakshurum Militam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Matsamo nasti papama na paradhi chakashana jame indhuve purushottama yuvati nam yatha yuni yunam cha yuvati yatha manobhiramate tadvan
mano matam tuati bhomo kalitamadana
Bhumau skalita padanam bhumirevavalambanam tvai jata paradhanam tvameva sharanam prabhu Govinda vallabhe radhe prarthaye tvamaham sada vadiyam iti janatu govindo mam tvaya saha Radhe Vrindavanatheshe Karunamritavani Kya Nija Padapya Dasyam Mahyam Pradiyata. Okay, so time now for us to go over the translations. But before that, we'll check with Suyash Prabhu to see what he has given us as the order for reading today.
Sutapa Mataji, Ishwari Radhika Mataji, Aarti Mataji, Preeti Radhika Mataji, Suyash, Manasi, Priyanka Mataji, Varshana Mataji, Shraddha Mataji.
All right, so I go after Varshana Mataji, and I will. And joining us on Facebook is Achyuta Radhe Mataji. Thank you so much for joining us here. Okay, let's get going with the translations.
O Purushottama, no sinner or offender is as bad as I am. How can I describe my shame? Just as the minds of young ladies take pleasure in a young woman, and the minds of young men take pleasure in a young woman, kindly let my mind take pleasure in you alone.
Just as the ground is the only support for those whose feet have slipped, you alone are the only shelter for those who have offended you.
Aarti Mataji. Aarti Mataji.
You might be on mute, Mataji.
Yeah, Aarti Mataji is on mute.
I don't know if she's in a condition to read or not.
Okay, I will read then. O Srimati Radharani, beloved of Lord Govinda, this is my request. May you and Lord Govinda consider me one of your assistants.
All right. What's
O
the name?
Srimati Radharani, O Queen of Vrindavan, you are a river flowing with the nectar of mercy. Please be kind to me and give me a little service at your lotus feet. Hare Krishna.
Okay, now time for reflections.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandat Pranam, Mataji. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Matsamo nasti papatma.
Na paradhi jakashana.
Parihari
Parihari
apiladame.
Kim ve purushottama.
Very nice. This is called teamwork.
Yuvatinam yathayuni, yunam cha yutau yatha.
Manobhiramate tatvan.
Manubhiramatam tui.
Umau.
Kalit Badanam.
Bhumir eva valambanam. Tadiyam iti jnatu. No, sorry.
Continue the relay. That's what she
Jata
said.
paradhanam tam eva sharanam prabhu.
Okay.
Govinda vallabhe radhe parthaye
Prayam Sada Tadiyam iti janati Sri Govind
Dayashaha.
Radhe Vrindavanadhishe
Deshe Navahini Kripya Nij Padacha Dasyam
Mayam prati atam.
Yes.
There you go.
You did it, Mataji.
You did it. Yes. What date is it today? 11th of June. Yeah. So when you were all reading it, when you were reading one by one in a relay, it sounded so beautiful. Sounded so beautiful. One person talking at a time is just beautiful, right? So one person said, it almost sounded like Antakshari to me. Like, one is reading, other is reading. But then if you all speak together, then it's kind of like a ooh, because Zoom doesn't catch things and it's like, I couldn't get it, right? But then it shows real team spirit. One person leaves, another person catches up, and it's also a lot more thrill because you don't know who's going to leave where, right? Who's going to jump in for the first. If somebody else has started speaking, then you stop. Let that other person speak and then go on. But this is good. This is amazing, isn't it? I don't know how this got started today, but very beautiful.
Truly speaking, you told me to, write down without seeing. And I could not write much. Only 2 words here, 2 words there. Only the beginning 2 lines I could write correctly. The rest all was hodgepodge. And then Mataji, I kept it in front of me, wrote it down. Now I'll put it today on my fridge, and every day I will be reciting correctly. Then only I think I'll learn it.
Yes, that's a fantastic idea. Yes, when your eyes are there, out of sight, out of mind. And if it is in the sight, then it'll go into the mind.
Yeah, I also wrote Mataji yesterday, but I could memorize only first one, and I wrote that 1, 2, 3 times. So I did the homework yesterday.
Hey, good. Yes.
Mataji, same thing here.
Yes. And Ishwari Radhika showed me her homework day before yesterday. She had a little sheet of paper and she showed it to us. Yeah. And the idea was not to just write down what you have memorized, Priyanka. The idea was to know the gaps, as Barshana Mataji pointed out, because as soon as you visualize the gaps, then you know that this now needs to go onto the refrigerator.
Right, Mataji. Starting memorize. That's why.
Yeah. And I don't know how I'm going to handle it is YouTube plus Facebook broadcast today, because I don't know whether they are posting reflections on Facebook or where they're posting the reflections. But let's see if I get something here. Dilip Bhai Patel Prabhu, thank you for joining the call here. I'm seeing comments here. Yeah. So Achita Radhe, okay, Achita Radhe Mataji is saying that she'll miss our association. So Achita Radhe Mataji, you can still watch us on YouTube. You're still there. And yeah, okay. Yeah, didn't see much. Okay. Namaste Mataji, welcome. That's all I can see. I can't see the comments unless they're posting their comments on you, going and posting them on YouTube. That'll be a problem with me. Okay. Yeah, just bear with me. There might be some noise sounds you'll hear, repeated sounds here. Technology always gives you grief whenever it can give you grief. Okay. Okay, now back here to Zoom. Tell me more.
Yes, Mataji, when means I'm forgetting like the words on verse, so I'm just running and catching that, means opening up the prayers and try to remember. And my husband is telling, "What, you were singing whole day?" I said, "I'm not singing." "Oh, what happened? You were singing and singing." Means I said, "It's not singing, it's a prayer. You should also learn."
Yeah, it's bound to have effect on everybody. Very nice. So what are the other things that you caught from there, other than the, of course, in addition to the Sanskrit, the beautiful Sanskrit that you said?
Let me take shelter in you alone.
Yeah, take shelter in you alone. Okay.
And
Over the flowing river of mercy.
River of mercy, right?
You are the only support for those who have offended you.
Mm.
and nobody is a bigger sinner or offender like me. And that realization comes when we go through misery. Is like, okay, why is this coming? Oh, I did something. Who knows which baggage from which birth? Maybe not from this birth.
Yeah, yeah, and isn't it amazing that this kind of a understanding and this kind of a way of thinking and this kind of a consciousness helps you handle all the miseries that come into our lives rather than blaming it,
Yeah. Yes, Mataji.
right? It's so easy to blame, like, oh, when I was 2, my mom didn't take care of me, so that's why I committed murder. People come with all kinds of things, right? I had this, I had that. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Anything else before Suyash Prabhu shares?
Let my mind take pleasure only in you.
Yeah. What else does the mind take pleasure in?
I mean, mind takes pleasure in everything else, but
Very
Everything but God. Yeah, that is so true. That is so true. The comments unless they're posting their comments. Yeah, go ahead. More? Anything more?
You are the only shelter. Tam Iva Sharanam Prabhu, you're the only shelter.
Yeah, you're the only shelter. Yeah. Just looking at Sutapa, I know she's living the prayer. She's living with the prayer. That's very good. That's how it should be. And remember, yesterday we talked about importance of prayer, right? Priyanka?
yeah,
Prayers are important. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Preeti? I see you on the screen.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
You good? All right. Okay, Siyash Prabhu, let's get going. And yeah, there were still a few points from yesterday's verse, which was a very important verse there. It's loaded with information. And so we'll do 2.8 again today, Suyash Prabhu, but first we'll read from the Bhagavad-gita.
Mataji. Can I start, Mataji?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Contents of the Gita summarized. Sanjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudana, Krishna, spoke the following words. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets but to infamy.
O son of Pratha, do not yield to this degrading impotence. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy. Arjuna said, O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I counterattack with arrows in a battlefield like battle men like Bhishma and Drona, who are worthy of my worship?
Is it just me? I can't see the screen, or is everybody? Is it just
We
me?
can see.
I
You can
can
see?
see.
Okay, that's fine. Then then please continue. I can just look at my own screen here. Yeah. Go ahead. Text 5.
5. It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield.
Now, Shraddha Mataji, it's your turn.
Yeah, hold on. Okay, so text number, can you please scroll up a little bit? Yeah, to 7. Now yeah, that's good. Now I'm confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I'm asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. I can find no means to drive away this grief which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it, even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like the demigods in heaven.
Sanjay said, having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. O descendant of Bharata, at the time, Krishna, smiling in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to the great striking Arjuna.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be.
As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. O son of Kunti, the non permanent appearance of happiness and distress, and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O scion of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, kindly scroll it up.
It's Suresh Prabhu's turn, Mataji. It's Suresh Prabhu and then Mansi Mataji and then Priyanka Mataji and then it's you. I think I see it on the list.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, after Preeti Radhika Mataji.
No, after Priyanka Mataji, your turn.
Priyanka Mataji, okay.
Either Aarti Mataji, can you read?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, and then text 15. Your turn is after Preeti Radhika Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Text 15. O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non existence, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. Hare Krishna.
That which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is no one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata.
Neither he who thinks the living entity, the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge. For the self slays not nor is slain. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain.
Text 21. O Partha, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? As a person puts on new garments, give up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones.
Hare Krishna. Text 23. The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. This individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble, and can be neither burned nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. Hare
It is
Krishna.
said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. If, however, you think that the soul or the symptoms of life will always be born and die forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty armed.
One who has taken in his birth is sure to die, and after death, one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your body, you should not lament. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So, what need is there for lamentation?
Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being.
Considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, and so there is no need for hesitation. O Partha, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets.
Text number 33. If, however, you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. People will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectable person, this honor is worse than a death.
The great generals who have the great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you?
O son of Kunti, either you will be killed on the battlefield and attain the heavenly planets, or you will conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Therefore, get up with determination and fight. Do though fight for the sake of fighting without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, and by so doing you shall never incur sins.
Yes. So we already did the purport yesterday for this verse. So today we'll do just the Sanskrit and the translation. Then we'll go into discussions. And if time permits, then we'll go to number 9. Okay. Yeah. Whose turn is it after Manasi?
Yes, Mataji, it's my turn.
All right.
Prabhuji, yeah, can you just, thank you. Nahi prapashyami mama panudyad yachokam uchhosanam indriyanam avapya bhumau asapatanam riddham rajyam suranamapi chadhipatyam.
Yeah. Please do the synonyms also.
Okay, Mataji. Na, do not. He, certainly. Prapashyami, I see. Mama, my. Panudyad, to. Yachok, to. Yachokam, uchhosanam, indriyanam, avapya bhumau, asapatanam, riddham, rajyam, suranamapi, chadhipatyam. Okay, Mataji. No, do not. He, certainly. Prapashyami, I see. Mama, my. Panudyad, Apanudyat can drive away, yet that which shokam lamentation, uchoshanam drying up, indriyanam of the senses, avapya achieving, bhumau on the earth, aspatanam aspatnam without rival, ridham prosperous, rajyam kingdom, suranam of the demigods, api even, cha also, adhipatyam supremacy.
Varshana Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. I can find no means to drive away this grief, which is drying up my senses. I can find no means to drive away this grief, which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it, even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like the demigods in heaven.
Okay, good. Thank you. Suresh Prabhu, can you also bring up Bhagavad-gita 3.42?
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you.
3.42.
42.
Indriyani.
Translation.
Yeah, no, words. Okay, yeah. Indriyani paranahur indrebhya param parama manaha manasastu para buddhir yo buddhe paratastu tusaha. Okay, next person can read the synonyms and then the translation.
Intriyani, senses, parani, superior, ahu, are said. In Indriya Vaya, more than the senses. Param, superior, manaha, the mind. Manashaha, more than the mind. Two, also, para, superior, buddhi, intelligence, yaha, who, buddhe, more than the intelligence, parataha, superior, to, but, shaha, he.
Who goes next?
Ishwari Mataji.
Translation. The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence.
Okay, so let's keep keep in mind this hierarchy. Okay, and we're going to distribute the hierarchy amongst ourselves so that we remember, right? So somebody wants to take care of the matter. When we talk about matter, we come to you. Anyone who wants to take matter?
I'll take it.
You'll take it. Okay. Preeti Radhika took matter, and then above the matter is the
Mind.
Senses.
senses. Okay, who's going to take the senses?
I can take my.
Okay, all right. And then above the senses is the
Mind.
Intelligence.
Mind.
who takes mind?
Will take mind, Mataji.
Huh? You are
I'll
going to
take
take, Priyanka is going to take mind. Okay. And above the mind is the
Intelligence.
soul.
Intelligence.
intelligence. And then above the intelligence is?
Soul.
So,
Soul.
So now you know, right, who you are. Somebody has taken
I'll
matter, somebody has taken right senses, somebody has taken mind, somebody has taken intelligence, somebody has taken soul, right? Now in
Mataji,
that,
I'm taking soul, Mataji.
okay, you took soul.
Is
Wow.
that
Did somebody already take soul?
no.
Nobody took the soul? Okay, so Vaishana Madhi took the soul. Okay. Now I want all of you to go in that order. So what that person who took matter should just say, what is the word over here? Dull matter. Should say dull matter. And the next in line should come up. So you remember that hierarchy. Okay, go ahead. Preeti Radhika, you are
Chair. Dull matter. Chair.
dull matter. Okay. Just give me just say dull matter like that. I'm just trying to
Dull
build the hierarchy. Yeah.
Okay. Dull matter.
Dull matter.
Senses.
Mm-hmm.
Mind.
Mm-hmm.
Intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
soul?
So okay, can we do it one more time?
Dull matter.
Senses.
Mind.
Intelligence.
Soul.
One more time, quickly.
Dull matter.
Senses.
Mind.
Intelligence.
Soul.
Okay, one more time, really quickly.
Dull matter.
Senses.
Mind.
Intelligence.
Soul.
Okay, one more time, really quickly.
Dull matter.
Senses.
Mind.
Intelligence.
Soul.
So, okay, so you got it? You got the hierarchy now?
Mhm.
Okay, now let's look at the words that we're looking at 2.8. Coming up 2.8 from Suyash Prabhu's screen. All right. So let's look at the Sanskrit here. Can we scroll a little bit so that we can see the Sanskrit? Yeah. So nahi prapashyami manapanutyad yacho kamuchoshanam indriyanam. So who took the senses?
Myself.
Yes, took the senses. Okay, give us the Sanskrit for senses.
Indriyani.
Indriyani, right? Indriyanam. And what has
Indriya.
happened? What is happening to his Indriyanam?
Drying up.
They're drying up, right? So he's saying drying up. Okay. And so which Indri is he using the most?
Mind.
Senses.
Yeah, but the question is which sense is he using?
Eyes.
Vision.
Eyes.
Chapter C.
Yes. Eye. Who said eyes?
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Sonia.
You also said eyes? Okay, so we have two tying up for eyes. I have only 80 points. I have to distribute it between the two of you.
You give 50 points to Sania Mataji.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, so he has been using in his various senses, and we're talking about his eyes, and we have been talking about that he's not seeing these things properly, and he's also saying that my senses are drying up, right? And so basically drying up means that they're not able to act properly. And so which is the sense which is not acting properly?
Mind.
Mind, exactly, right? His eyes are working, the eyes are seeing, they're doing the job, they are seeing far more than what Krishna would want him to see, but they are working, and he's able to, but he's saying that my indriyas are now getting choked up, they are getting dried up, I cannot see, right? And why this is happening? Because of the grief that is happening, right? So sometimes it happens that when you are in extreme grief, your tongue, mouth dries up and things like that, right? So something happens to your senses because of all that information that you're gathering there, right? And so, but we have to remember that the mind is still higher, but our Arjuna has got a mind block. His mind itself is not working properly, right? And then his intelligence is also bewildered here because of all that he's seeing.
Mataji, that means that I can find no means to drive away this grief. That means he doesn't want to come out, or he is so grief stricken that he cannot decide. Arjuna
Yeah,
cannot.
he's grief stricken, and because of that because of the mental block. This is the mental block that he thinks that I cannot go beyond that. I've stopped here, right? We have to stop the war. We cannot go further. We cannot do what we are supposed to do, like that. And then Krishna will help him to rise above that platform, because immediately afterwards he'll start talking about soul, right? We've been reading it like that. So he's talking. So I just wanted to point out that he's saying that his senses are being dried up. So our real senses, we have spiritual senses as well. So there are senses which are outside, and then there is one sense in the subtle body, right? So most of your senses are in the gross body, and then there's one sense which is in the subtle body, so kind of like inside as we speak, and which is the mind, as Suresh Prabhu pointed out, right? But here we have got a mind, we have got a blockage on the mind. So Arjuna is not able to do that. So nahi prapashyami, right? So he's saying that I'm not able to see, like that. So we can stop sharing the screen if you're already sharing. I can't know that from here. So he cannot figure it out, right? His senses are already drying up. And then, but he's saying that he's a little bit of a logic is still working in his head. And what is the logic that he's saying? Some part of his is still working. He's able to think something clearly. What does he say?
Mataji, he's able to the to see his dharma and the like code of conduct as um, to his superiors. That part he's able to see.
Yes, that part is able to see, and he saw that in the previous verses, right? Guru nihatva numahanubhavan, right? How can I kill them and all that? But in this particular verse, there's still something
in his material prosperity like demigods is also not going to dispel my sorrows.
Right. So he has come to the conclusion that, that if I'm sorrowful, if I'm grieving, then any of these material things are not going to help me. And what about talking about material things over here in this planet? What he's saying, Rajyam Suranam Apichadipatyam. So he's saying that Suras is the demigod. So demigods are much more opulent than we are, right? So he's saying, even if I get that, I won't be able to drive away this greed that is coming up. So we know that all these things are useless in trying to solve the problems of our life, which we discussed yesterday, our birth, death, old age, and disease. And so he's doing the right thing. And one more thing he did in the previous verse. What was the right thing he did in the previous verse? It's a famous verse.
Surrender
to Krishna.
Surrender to Krishna. Yes. He surrendered to Krishna, right? Sishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. The main sentence, right? I'm your soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. Right? And that's what he did. So there will be problems of material life, and we try to seek peace in different ways and happiness in different ways. And Prabhupada, in his lectures and also here in the purport to this one, he says that people are trying to find peace here and there, but the real peace you will get will be if you turn to Krishna and turn to Bhagavad-gita and turn to Srimad Bhagavatam, like that. And the problem here is that this material life is full of miseries. It's ashashvatam, right? Dukhalem ashashvatam. And but what we do is that we try to counteract these miseries of life. And in trying to find a solution to that problem, we get happy. Can you deliberate a little bit more on this statement? That in trying to find problems to a solution, we generally find happiness.
Yeah, the example of travel, we are most happy when we are thinking about it, not when we are doing, not after done with the travel as well, holidays.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. When you are having some problem, right, in trying to solve that problem, we feel very happy. Give me some more examples from your concrete life, or maybe you don't do it, it's just me. You had any problem in life or no?
Yes, we had.
Anything worth sharing on YouTube? Any problem in life?
Say it again. Yesterday we were trying to figure out some APIs for ISKCON family app, and we were stuck for last 3-4 days, and then we figured out the way, and we were so elated, delighted.
Yeah. So finding the APIs or not finding the APIs, did it solve your real problem of birth, death, old age, and disease?
No.
Right. Yeah. So that's what happens. And another example of that is that, somebody's suffering from disease, right? Somebody's suffering from disease. And so it is a suffering. We are feeling bad about it. And then we are saying like, okay, I'll take an appointment with the doctor. And so just that thought makes you feel happy, because now you're on the process of trying to get free from the disease. Now the doctor might come and tell you that this disease is incurable, like that. But that's just the process itself makes us so happy, right? People build houses, they try to fix things around the houses and things like that. So Prabhupada is saying that, this is not real happiness in just trying to overcome the problem. The problem might not be overcome at all, ultimately in the end, right? So like how the scientists are constantly feeling very happy trying to find out ways on how you can avoid death, right? That is the biggest quest of the scientists. They want to avoid death, but it's not going to happen. Shastras tell you that. But they're happy in that research. They're so happy, and they get a little bit of success somewhere. They're able to get rid of one wrinkle. They're like, all right, we have overcome this. But that's not what it is, right? So Prabhupada points that out in his lectures that, it is not, that is not the way, that is not the real happiness, right? And what Arjuna is Arjuna understands that, right? And he understands, and Prabhupada cautions us, in the purport to this verse, he says that, cataclysms of this material world can wipe off everything, right? You can have, Suranam Chadipattam, he's saying, yes, you can get wealth like the Suras, but, one tsunami comes and it'll wash out everything that is there. And they come unwanted without us even asking for these things. They are going to come here, right? And so
look at in Calcutta, what happened, you see, so many people died in no time, and how much money they must have spent to build those houses and everything.
Right. And now spend more to rebuild them. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Right. And then yesterday we also talked about that there are, we faced with perplexities in life. And then what do? We put the lid. So does anybody remember what is the lid, the 3-letter acronym stand for?
Look, inquire, and do.
And do.
Yeah, look, inquire, and do. Thank you so much. So Vaishana and Sutapa Mataji, I know you're taking notes, so notes always help you, right? And so, so that's what Arjuna is doing. He saw Perplexion and he could not see, so he is inquiring. And then, of course, towards the end of the Bhagavad-gita, we know, and from Mahabharata, we know that he did whatever Krishna asked him to do, right? So, and then Prabhupada also says that a person with a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything. So he's so confused over here, doesn't know anything, but he approaches a spiritual master. And why are you supposed to know everything? Why is a person with a bona fide spiritual master supposed to know everything? It is because if you don't know anything, then you go to your bona fide spiritual master and you'll get the answer to your questions there, like that, right? And so that's one thing I wanted to point out from this particular verse, is that the senses which are there. And then again, what he's trying to do, the problem with him is that he's trying to engage his senses for his own enjoyment, but our senses should be engaged in the service of Krishna. So Rishikesha Rishikena Sarva Sevanam Bhaktir Uchyate. So to serve the senses of Krishna is actually devotional service, trying to do our own senses, and they are drying up and things like that. That's going to cause you grief. But our mouth also dries up, right? Every Ekadashi dries up because when we're eating, not drinking water, or Janmashtami, Krishna Janmashtami, Gaura Purnima, we keep fast, and our indriyas do dry up. But then that's, we don't grieve for that because we're trying to do that to serve Krishna, right? Like that. So that's one thing that we also, we need to keep that in mind, that we have to really serve the real senses. Our senses are all bogus, they're not there, right? And another thing, of course, which happened in the previous verse is that Arjuna has accepted his inferior position. Arjuna is saying that I am a soul surrendered to you. So he has bowed down his head, so to speak, before Krishna. So that's also, that's very, very important, right? So these senses that we talked about, right? So there was a hierarchy. So what's the hierarchy? One more time of the senses.
Dull matter.
Who was dull matter? No. Who's dull matter? Speak up, dull matter.
I was dull matter. Sorry, I was muted.
Yeah. Unmute yourself and give me the hierarchy one more time.
Dull matter.
Senses.
Mind.
Intelligence.
Soul.
Right. So when you are working with your senses, right? So you are on the material plane. And then when you are working with mind, you are working on the mental plane. When you're utilizing your intelligence, then you are on the intellectual plane. And when you come to Varshana Mataji, then you are on the spiritual plane.
Mataji, can you repeat one more time?
So when you are working with your senses, you are on the which platform?
Dull matter.
Which platform? Material plane. Yes, correct, for 200 points. But listening carefully. And then when you are working with your mind, then you are on mental platform. When you're using your intelligence, then you're on the intellectual platform. Right?
Soul
And
is
then when you are
spiritual.
on working this, when the soul is really taking control, then you're actually acting on the spiritual platform. So Arjuna is working on the, which platform is Arjuna working on?
Mental plane.
Mental plane.
He's on the mental. Yeah. See, he was on the physical, saw, and then he he came, right? So physical platform on on a chariot, and then he saw again on the mental on the material platform, and then he used his mind, and he got so bewildered by that that he got conquered. So he came, he saw, and he got conquered like that, right? So that's what happened to him. So these are um, you can work on these different kinds of planes, and ultimately the thing is that we have to acquire knowledge. And so when you are working on the gross body level, right, when you're working on the gross body level and you are gaining knowledge from the gross body level, you are working on what is known as prataksha, that you're trying to get knowledge from what you can perceive using your senses. So what are the different, give me some examples of knowledge that you can perceive using your senses.
That an apple falls from a tree, so there's gravity because I saw it falling.
No, but then you concluded that there is gravity. So you use something else, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is some of the knowledge that you can acquire using your senses? Is that number one, going back to Preeti's example, number one, that you can see the apple falling, right? So you are using your eyes to see that the apple is falling down. You're using your gross body, right? Now, again, using those same eyes, what more can you find about, what more knowledge can you acquire about that apple that is falling down?
That apple is red.
That the apple is red, right? You can also gauge the speed with which it is falling down. Is there anything else that you can gauge about the apple?
It would be sitting on the ground.
That it will come in. Yeah. So now it was there and now it is here. Okay. So you have noticed the change in position of the apple, right? Right. And you can also judge that it is a ripe apple or a raw apple just because you looked at the color, right? But the eyes are not telling you whether it's a ripe apple or whether it's a raw apple. Your eyes are just collecting that data. So I want you to understand the difference, and how the hierarchy is going. So the eyes are just, looking at it. Okay. So now eyes look at the apple and they gain the color. So green and red, like that, right? And then who is next? How about the dull matter? Who is
Mind.
next?
Oh,
Mind. Yeah. Speak up, mind. You
so
talk
mind,
all the time. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and mind from its experience, earlier experience, can tell that because apple is red, so it is ripe, and
It's
because it.
ripe. Yes, very good. First thing the mind will tell is that this is an apple
Hmm.
from previous impressions, right? It's going to say this is an apple. And then from previous instructions, it'll say it's like, let's assume that the apple is raw, like really dark green. Okay. Who is next in the hierarchy?
Zora.
Intelligence.
Intelligence. Okay. What will intelligence say?
Gravity?
Wh- Whether it is ripened or not.
That the mind told you.
Maybe we can eat it.
Yeah. Can you eat it or not eat it? It's raw apple. Is it good for your health or not good for your health, right? So intelligence will take you till that. And then above the intelligence is the
Soul.
Soul.
so what will the soul say?
Offer it to Krishna.
Krishna.
Yeah, that's a good soul. Yeah.
Or you say on the material platform, the person will say, let me cut it and eat it before anybody else comes.
Yeah, but going by the hierarchy of the eyes saw the apple, saw something red or saw something green falling down. The mind said, okay, this is an apple that's falling down, and also concluded that this is raw apple. And the intelligence said raw apple need not be eaten. So far the action of eating it has not been performed. So higher than that is the
Soul.
So
Soul will say,
it's
let
an
me enjoy.
edible object.
Yeah, yeah. So above the intelligence is the soul. So ultimately, the soul is deciding that you're going to eat it or not. And so if the soul decides that I'm going to eat the raw apple, can the soul eat the raw apple?
No.
No.
What is required?
Mouth.
Intelligence.
Taste. Intelligence and taste.
Body.
Okay.
It
Body.
is
Body,
required.
the teeth, the tongue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you put the apple on a plate and the plate falls down from your hand.
Grief.
That
And
means
the dog comes and eats it really quickly. The
that
family
it
dog.
was not destined
So what
to.
is there? So yes, yeah. So what is that prevented you from eating it? This means that there's something else that is
Falling,
controlling.
Your karma.
falling.
There's something else that is controlling.
Intelligence.
Intelligence, no. In this case, there was no intelligence involved. Intelligence will be involved that if the apple fell on the ground and now you're saying it is on the ground, it's dirty, cannot be eaten.
Super soul.
Yes, super soul for 1,000 points. So Sudhava
Mataji, I got the lottery today.
She got the lottery. Now she's going to leave the class and go. The up and until the super soul does not give you the permission. It's the upadrishta. It was watching you all the time. And then anumanta, it has to give you the permission to do that. Right? So you see how the knowledge is being acquired, and then we are also making certain decisions. So on the lowest level, pratyaksh is that it is right in front of your eyes. Right? Right in front of your eyes, your grandfather is standing. So you're saying, this is my grandfather. Mind is saying, don't kill. Intelligence is saying, yes, 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 because, it's not the right thing to do. But the super soul did not give him permission ultimately, right, to go along that way. Super soul then started speaking, right? Krishna, as outside, spoke to him, right? So there is pratyaksha that you can see. Now let's take the case of that there is a apple, which is neither green nor red. And you see that falling down. Now, is it a ripe apple or is it not a ripe apple? Is it good enough to eat or is it not good enough to eat?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare
Ripe apple only can fall.
That's
That's
a
what I
very
was
good
hearing from Srila Prabhupada yesterday about the law of gravity. And
There you go. Yes. So in this case, let's assume that that there is a wind blowing and an apple falls because of the wind, right? It can happen. Raw apples also fall down. Right. So some apple is falling down that your eyes are seeing, but the eyes are not giving you enough information to judge whether it's really ripe enough for me to eat or not. So then you'd start doing some estimations in your head with your mind, right? So from the gross, you might not be able to get everything and come to a conclusion. So you use your subtle, you go to a higher plane, you go to a mental plane, and then you try to figure it out. Okay, yeah, some parts of it's yellow, and then my mom told me this, and like that. So you'll come to a conclusion whether it is ripe or whether it is not ripe. So that is known as anuman. So pratyaksh is that it's right in front of you. Right? The whole army is in front of Arjuna. And anuman is that you are making estimates, sometimes guesstimates, like that. For example, if you're walking somewhere, and then you see some fire coming from behind a mountain. Prabhupada gives this example, right? You see a fire coming from behind a mountain, some smoke coming from behind a mountain, and you will assume that there is some fire there, like that, right? So you're assuming, you're not seeing the fire, right?
Yeah.
It is not pratyaksha, it's not in front of you, but you sometimes make estimates, right? What is a Shabda-bhedi Baan? You have heard about that, Shabda-bhedi Baan?
From the sound
Yes,
it follows.
sound to you.
Yeah, so from the sound, you estimate who it is and where it is, how far it is, like that, right?
Mataji, who it is, will it be able to find with the sound? We can only find
you tell
that
me.
how it is.
Yes, you tell me.
Like Mataji, from the sound, we can find if the lion is coming, we can, from the noise, we can feel that this is a lion. And
Okay, I have to stop you here. Just one
Yes,
second.
ma'am.
For the reason,
Yeah.
it's not just you, but I noticed that yesterday also, and I wanted to clarify. There's one word called Lion, and it is lion, because I is there, right? Lion. There's another word called Loin, loin. And loin is, a part of the body, the thighs, that area is called loin, right? We usually don't talk about that. We talk mostly about
Okay.
lion, right? Yeah,
Lion.
lions. Yeah, you had asked me to correct you, Mataji, so I'm correcting you.
Yes. Thank you, in fact.
Okay,
Mataji.
yes,
Good,
yeah.
good. I'm learning.
Yeah.
So, Mataji, I mean, when somebody is Shabda-bheda, if somebody is going to, I mean, wo arrow,
Shoot an arrow.
he is shooting the arrow. That person, if he has to estimate with the noise what is there, he will be able to find whether it is a lion, or it is a deer, or from the noise of the walk will be able to find
And
out.
you tell us, history tells us, and very good point. Very good point, right? History tells us. What's the famous story when Anuman went wrong?
Ravan Kumar.
Shravan.
Shravan
There
Kumar.
you go. Right? So that's what Prabhupada is saying, that your senses are defective, including your mind. Like that, right? So when you acquire these kind of knowledges, you will always have some kind of problem. So that the third way to get the knowledge is from Shruti. Because we have 4 defects, right? And so you should get our knowledge from Shruti, and that is from, what is Shruti?
Hearing?
From
And hearing.
Hearing about Krishna from
scriptures.
Yes, you have to hear things that have come from Krishna, and not because I sat down yesterday night and said, I have a Bhagavad-gita class, let me tell them about soul and what I think about what soul is, right? So one of the things that we do in devotional service is that usually we don't start with, it is my opinion, because any type of opinions that I form on the strength of my defective senses is going to be defective, right? The cause is there in the effect. So if I've got defects, and what are the defects that we have?
Perfect senses.
We have imperfect senses. Yeah. What does it mean, imperfect senses?
You're not able to see what it's actually, like let's say you can mistake a rope for a snake.
No, imperfect senses.
Oh, you can't see
Understanding a rope for a snake is that you have a tendency to be illusion, right? And that
illusion.
is a defect.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm talking about imperfect senses. What does it mean?
Yeah, you can't see like far distance or really close.
Yeah, you can't see very far. You cannot see very close, right? The knowledge that you will acquire about an object depends on the distance of the object from you, right? Right. If I show you a coin here, on Zoom, and ask you for the size, you will give me some size, right? Now, if I walk to the other end of the room and show you the same coin, you will give me a different size. What is the truth? Your senses do not tell you the truth, are incapable. They're imperfect. They cannot do that, right? It's like, for example, what knowledge do you acquire from your sense of touch? What knowledge do you acquire of the environment, of the material world?
Soft or hard, or hot or cold?
Whether it's hot or cold, right? Okay. So now if I've got this bottle here, right? I've got this bottle here. It's got a metallic cap on the top, right? Now I'm touching this. It feels cold, right? Now, as soon as I come after taking a cold water shower, and if I touch it, how will it feel?
Warm.
Warm. So is it warm or is it cold? What is it? Right? So these senses, the imperfect senses, they're not giving you the right information. Imperfect senses, okay. Illusion, you said. Okay, what else?
Propensity to cheat.
Propensity to cheat comes later, but there's one more.
Tendency to make mistakes.
Tendency to make mistakes, right? So you can make a mistake. You're trying to write down, pay to ISKCON of Silicon Valley $25 and you make it 52 and be happy. You made that mistake, right? So we can make these kind of mistakes, or sometimes how much mistakes we make in talk while we are talking, right? I might want to say Manasi and I might say Preeti, like that. So all the time we make that. And the fourth defect is the worst defect of all, which Priyanka pointed out, and that is the tendency to cheat.
Cheat.
Tendency to
Can
cheat
you explain a little bit on this?
on the tendency to cheat.
Yes.
Yeah. Tendency to cheat is that after knowing all this, the defects that I have, and also knowing that I could have made an error in my judgment, right? But still, to save my face, I will speak lies on top of that and get away from that situation.
So this
That is
is only
not
for that on the spiritual level, or this is common for every person, every human being.
say that I missed the first part on this. What did you say about the spiritual level?
Mataji, this is the four defects, means that tendency to cheat. It is applicable only for this spiritual world, or we should take it as every human being.
Okay, so spiritual world is different. Right now we're talking about the material. Purely we're talking about the material world, and describing the material world, that verse 342 in the said, right, lowest of all is the all matter. So that's material, right? Higher than the matter is the mind. That's material. Mind is also material, right? Above the material is intelligence. It's also material, right? It's only thing which is there, which is the soul, right? So the tendency to cheat and to manipulate all these things will come first. That thought will come, right? The thought is coming. The mind will give you various options, right? Should I acknowledge or should I not acknowledge? Like if Suyas Prabhu comes and says, like, what was that verse, Mataji? Is it 342 or 343? I don't remember now. So my mind has said that, two options. Either I can tell him that I don't remember, or I can say, well, you know what? It is all being broadcast all over the place. What will people think about me? Let me say, whatever comes to my mind. So mind is just producing thoughts like that, right? And then you go higher up, the intelligence will now say that, what is right and what is wrong. It might just say that that's okay. Your face is one thing. You want to save your face, whatever, but you're a teacher, and duty of a teacher is to tell the right thing to the students, because whatever you tell them, they're going to repeat, and they might think that whatever you're saying is the right thing to say, right? But then it will be like, now the deliberation happened. Like, what do I weigh more, my reputation or my honesty and the welfare of the students? Right? So intelligence is going to weigh. And then finally, the soul decides. Right? So what do you want to enjoy more? I want my reputation. Okay, let's lie. Like that. So there's a tendency to cheat. So now I have described all my wonderful qualities. I have got senses which don't work properly. I have a tendency to make mistakes. I get illusion, right? So I see something is there, I don't see it, or something is not there and I see it, like that, rope and snake, like the example that you gave. And then on top of all that is that I have a tendency to cheat. Why would you want to listen to me? You should not, right? It's common knowledge, common sense not to do that. And that's why they say that the right knowledge to you should come from Shruti. Shruti is Krishna has said it, because these defects are material defects. Krishna will not, Krishna doesn't have these defects. So whatever he has to say will be the right thing. Whatever he will, see is that he sees the right thing, like that. So, and that is why we are so particular about preserving the information and preserving the Vedic literature, which is what we are doing. There's a big drive that is happening these days. Bhaktivinoda Thakur and I know Priyanka and Suyash and Manasi are all going, gung-ho outside Preeti Radhika to go and distribute books. And, the reason for we are doing that is because we know Prabhupada has demarcated, he has not demarcated, he has told us the lineage, right? He has told us from where it is coming, and it goes all the way back to Krishna. And one of the things, and that's why he said, call this as Bhagavad-gita as it is. And why did he say call it Bhagavad-gita as it is? Because the rule of the parampara is that you will preserve whatever has been passed to you and not dilute it by adding, in my opinion. Where in the Bhagavad-gita, and you all have read it, Bhagavad-gita, and all have read Bhagavad-gita so many times, where have you come across Prabhupada saying, in my opinion?
Never.
Nowhere.
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 Whenever Prabhupada has to augment a particular statement, right? What does he do?
Refer scriptures.
Reference some other scriptures, right? He'll just reference other scriptures saying like, whatever I get, my source is the spiritual source because it doesn't have these 4 defects like that. Right? Otherwise, you see what is happening. Arjuna's indriyas are all drying up because he's not seeing the right thing, right? Pratyaksha. The word pratyaksh has got aksh in it. Aksh means
eyes.
Eyes.
See,
Right?
Aksha,
So we are
eyes.
seeing with eyes. Like that.
Mataji, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Aksha, is that chakshu or aksha?
Chakshu comes from aksh.
I
Chakshu
see.
comes from aksh. Yes, yes, good connection there. Yeah.
Mataji,
Right?
one more thing, can I quickly ask? You said Shruti, we were hearing. Shruti from who is also very important, correct?
Shruti is, yes, that's what I'm saying, the lineage. The lineage has to point to Krishna. It has to come from that source.
Come from Krishna, but right now we are listening from devotees, but there are so many devotees, they call themselves a devotee, and we can listen to whoever XYZ out there, but that is not going to make proper sense to us, correct? I mean, it may make a sense to us, but what I meant is that is not the right one.
Yes, and that is why we go to that is why Prabhupada always says that go to a bona fide spiritual master.
Bona fide
right?
spiritual
master. So sometimes you also have a tendency to listen a lot, right? And in the process of trying to listen a lot, and this applies even on the gross plane. Like for example, if I like to eat a lot and I want to try different varieties, and in the process of trying different varieties, I might end up eating something which is not good for me. So Prabhupada used to be very simple, right? Give me my dal, my roti, and my sabji, right? Don't try to make enchiladas and, whatever, tortillas and things like that. He was not going for variety because you can end up doing something wrong. Similarly, some people are like, I want to listen. I want to be on, on the internet all the time, especially coronavirus days. It's a good thing, but always check it out. You just don't listen to anything and anybody. And also just don't go by the popularity that, this person comes on the television and everybody's listening and, like that. Check out the sources. And if you're not able to check out the sources, go and ask your spiritual master, right? That is why we need a spiritual master. And that's why we are spending so much of time on these 2 verses here in the Bhagavad-gita, is because this is the turning point. Arjuna is taking a spiritual master, is addressing him. And that is what we all should be doing. We think that we'll be able to figure it out ourselves. You can't. We are not able to figure out even the material world by ourselves. How can we figure out the spiritual world, which is so much more variegated, so much more big, and so much more difficult because we can't see it like that, right? So yes, it's nice. Having a spiritual master is a shelter. And why is it called a shelter? Because the spiritual master shelters you from hearing here, there, and listening to this and that. And this is what happened to me also when I was first into Krishna consciousness. My spiritual master told me, like, don't listen to certain people because they will pollute your mind. And why does the spiritual master have to tell you? Because in the beginning, your faith in the devotional service is very soft. It is known as Komal Shraddha. And while it is soft, you can, mold it in any direction, right? Like if you make a dough out of some flour, when it is soft, you can make anything, any shape out of it. You can make a duck, like when my mom used to make the chapatis, I would borrow a little bit, beg for a little bit of atta, and I would make my own ducks and things like that. So for me, it was fun, right? And then I would make a duck and, keep it somewhere and forget about it as kids do. And the next day you find it's all dried up. And then I would try to break it and make something else out of it. You can't do that. Why? Because now it's hardened. You cannot shape it. So similarly, our faith also goes through these stages. It's like a banana tree in the beginning. It's very soft. Anybody can push it. Anybody can uproot it easily. But as you continue strictly following the devotional service in your life, then your faith in Krishna actually becomes like a banyan tree. What's so special about a banyan tree?
Banyan tree has, Mataji, the roots which come from top and go to the earth again and then again grow up. So there is no, we cannot make out where is the start and where is the end of a banyan tree.
Yes. So in the context of what I'm talking, what is so
Deeply
special
rooted.
about the banyan tree?
It's deeply rooted.
It's deeply rooted. Very good. It's deeply rooted and you cannot uproot it. You cannot pull it out. So your devotional service also goes through those stages through, practice. To practice that you do constantly. Steady practice of devotional service will lead you to that, right? So if the Shraddha is komal, and it happens to some people, somebody knocks at the door and sells you, Christianity. So you're like, oh, wow, Jesus Christ is going to take all my sins. Ooh, this is cool. You become a Christian. Next day, a Muslim drops at your door and he says something else like, oh, you should give your life, whatever. You like that and say, yeah, let's throw away the Bible, bring the Quran in. Like that. So what is happening is no Shraddha at all, no strong faith to be able to stand up and say, no, I am a Hare Krishna. I read books from Srila Prabhupada and I know what is the truth. I'm not deviating from this. Like that. So
Mataji, question, Mataji just mentioned about deeply rooted banyan tree, right? That is mentioned. Is that, but I think there is no root. It's just all on the air only, right? There is no root.
No.
No?
When a banyan tree, when the banyan tree grows, right? When a banyan tree grows, those roots, they grow, that which are hanging from the top, they will grow in length and then they'll go and touch the earth. And from there, they become, they will take roots there. And then that root that went and joined the earth, the secondary root, or whatever the term is, Vidya Badhu can tell, she's a botanist, that this root actually becomes as thick as the original trunk.
I see.
And that is why, that is why in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, Krishna says that na anto na adir na cha sampratishta. That for the banyan tree, it is very difficult to say which is the origin and which is the end, because the secondary trunk is the same, as thick as the original trunk. So some really old banyan trees, you will see that. Most of the banyan trees you don't see, you just see some roots hanging there, but they are young.
Mataji, where is this? So that those roots that are up in the sky and they expand in the air only, and they still go down and then again come up, keep going up and down.
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
That I see. Yes. Mataji, here somewhere, this is banyan tree is here in Bay Area somewhere.
I don't know about Bay Area, but in Mayapur, I saw a banyan tree which was like that, which has got many, which has got many trunks, so to speak. I've seen that a couple of years ago. I saw that.
Over here, I think there is one place that not Prabhupada, but he mentioned. What's his name? I forgot. But he mentioned about our California Bay Area. There are banyan trees there.
There you go.
Those are redwood trees.
Redwood trees. Where is it?
Redwood and banyan are different.
Yeah.
No.
What Mataji is talking about are the redwood trees. They suck oxygen from the air.
And their roots are connected.
Vaisheshika Prabhu mentioned it in one of his lectures recently.
Yeah. We are talking about banyan, whether
banyan tree. That's another one. Okay.
Bargad.
So these are another redwood tree, and these trees are different. And Mataji, where is this redwood tree located? Do you know? Trees rather.
I don't know.
There is a place I am forgetting right now, but I've been to the place it's north of San Francisco, I guess.
Woods somewhere.
Yeah. So let's stick with the banyan right now.
Okay, sorry about that. Where was the name? Priyanka Mataji, what name you mentioned?
Ask Priyanka Mataji offline.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to our class. Don't get deviated from this is Maya. This is Maya from a Bhagavad-gita class. Now you're talking about an excursion to the redwood trees. Now Very
I
stoked.
wanted to visit it. That's all.
Yeah.
We can't go
Yeah,
anywhere
that's all.
right now.
Yeah.
So
No. You can go to the internet and find out where the banyan tree is in Mayapur and find out all the nice religious things which are there underneath that tree, right? Spiritual tree. That's one way. Another way is you pack sandwiches and you go to the Redwood Shores in California.
right, somewhere to visit, you know.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
All right. So what were we talking about? We talked about the ways in which you can get knowledge. And so there are various paths that you can take for getting the knowledge. And so what we are doing is we are saying that you go to the Shrutis, you know. So Shruti means that you are listening. You are here what has been heard, right? Who's speaking? Krishna is the one who's speaking. And then, you know, it comes down to the lineage. So this path is also known as Shrota Panth. You know, Shrota Panth is the path where Shrota Panth, which is the path when you go and hear like that, right? And then one more thing, which I wanted to point out over here, and I'll end on that note. I'm cognizant of the time, and that is that he uses a word. And if you can bring it up, the verse really quickly, Prabhu, one more time, Suresh Prabhu. And thank you so much for doing this. It makes my life so much more easy, word by word. And there is a word which says without any rival. What is that? What is that word in Sanskrit?
Ashapatnam.
Asapatnam, right? So a means opposite, right? A means opposite. And so if you remove the a from it, what remains? Sapatnam, right? Do you know what is the meaning of sapatnam?
Rival.
The rival.
Rival from here, right? So asapatnam is without rival, right? Now sapatnam also means with a wife, right? So sapatni, they say sapatni, right? So when a person has got many wives, right? Sapatnis, co-wives, right? So when there are many co-wives, they fight amongst each other, right? For the one man they have married, right? They all want the attention, right? You all don't see much of that because in Kali Yuga it is prohibited. But still, you know, you see there are some places where people have more than one wife, and there's always a tug of thing like you come into my room, no, you come into my room, or you know, you buy me this and you buy me that. And we hear the story in Uttan Padabdhu Maharaj, right? There were two wives and there was a fight there, right? So over here, sapatnam, the word sapatnam is like, you know, how they are rivals and they are fighting with each other. Here, it is okay. He's talking about a kingdom unrivaled, which is like, you know, the best kingdom in the world and things like that. But in our real life, right? Who are our co-wives? Who are the co-wives that we are? Our senses are our co-wives, and they are pulling us in all the directions. Your tongue will say, let's go and eat something. Your ears will say, no, let's go and listen to this thing. Your legs will want to go to some place. And a classic example over here, which I stopped, like, you know, I want to go to Redwood Shores. No, you go over there to come to the temple. Don't go there. Don't waste time like that. Right? So, sapatnam. So the patni is still there to give that, right? So keep that in mind, that your senses are like the co-wives. There will be rivalry between all of them, and they will be trying to take the mind also in another direction, because mind is sort of like it's still a sense, but you know, it's kind of like the queen, the main wife, the first wife, and others are a little bit subordinate to the first wife, like that. And but don't get carried away. Don't get carried away by your senses. You have to keep on focusing back to Krishna. No matter what life throws up at you and you go in this direction, you just come back again and stay in Krishna consciousness. And I hope and pray you do that and don't get deviated at all. All right? Vanchakalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha gopremanande hari hari. Okay. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Are you trying to show us something, Ishwari Dada?
Oh, Mother, no, I'm just the fruits. I was just cutting the fruits right now.
Okay. There. I thought there was an altar there. Okay, have a fantastic day. Those of you who watched it on YouTube/Facebook, today was a disaster. I couldn't, catch any of the reflections. But anyway, you all gave us plenty of reflections. So stay safe, stay away from Maya, stay in Krishna consciousness.